Right, good morning, welcome back. Goldwing, day 31. Now in the last video I made these two one-of-a-kind reinforcing plates, 3mm thick steel, fitted absolutely snug and perfect to this swing arm cross brace, and today I've got to weld them into place, hopefully without warping and twisting it or blowing holes in it. I'm not a professional welder, just passionate about making parts for my motorcycle. So let's get stuck in and see how we get on. Right, here's the task. Cross brace, reinforcing plate, 3mm thick. Fits perfectly into that space and it touches the swinging arm all the way around. No air gaps underneath it. I've got to weld it all the way around its entire perimeter. One on the top, one on the bottom. Before we clamp those into place, ready to tack them in, I want to clamp the swinging arm itself to the jig, so hopefully it doesn't warp. Okay. Right there, a dozen tacks holding it in place, far superior to any amount of clamps, and with them removed and out of the way, I can now get in there and put some decent passes in between the tacks. And another little golden nugget that my fabricator friend told me was if warping is a critical concern, which it certainly is on a motorcycle swinging arm, is don't weld it all in one place. Don't let the heat build up too much. And I think we've all heard of this before. You weld a little bit one side, stop, letting it cool down while you weld a bit the other side, and then stop, and while that's cooling down, come back and weld this side. He said add to that with cooling. So rather than just do one side then the other and alternate, which is all very good, also add some physical cooling. So do a weld, grab your airline and cool that weld right down till it's touchable. And then over the course of time, you won't generally build up heat over the whole job, which will add to far too much. You're cooling it down between each of the welds, and it will never get hot enough to actually warp. I love tips from the pros. Okay, sharing this with you along the way. The first 4 passes gone quite well, quite happy. Show you a close up, see what you think. Right, let's clean that up a little bit. On this one, I've welded inside this factory seam. So the weld is between the metal and this brace, the actual cross brace itself. So that weld's gone quite well. It's not pretty. There's a blob in the middle where I stopped and started again, but that is nice and secure and nice and solid. Checking the other side, which is a bit different. On this side, a little bit more bulbous, but I was welding all the way over the factory weld completely. So it's welded to the brace and the factory weld, and it's touched the swinging arm itself, and that's what put this nice heat burn in it, which shows that the heat that I put into it has penetrated right the way through to the swing arm, which is nice and secure. Another thing that my fabricator friend said to me is that welds don't need to look nice. Analyze that statement. They need to be secure and penetrated and solid. That's what they need. We want them to look pretty because we want to impress people, especially if we're posting our stuff on the internet. But don't worry too much about your welds looking pretty. As long as they're secure, that's what matters the most. Pretty comes second, which is jolly handy because my welding isn't pretty. Right, next we'll do this back curved area across the back of the brace, and as you can see, it's in 4 sections between the tack welds. So we'll go that one, that one, that one, that one, and cool them down with the airline in between. Okay, ugly obviously, as you can see there. I've had to put a second pass on this side. That was the first one. I went just a little bit too low onto the swinging arm metal and just missed the top lip of the reinforcing plate. But this is what I had to achieve. This metal is on the swinging arm, this curve there, and that's the reinforcing plate. And I've had to fill it all the way out from the top of the plate to this lower area here. If this had been a straight piece and that had been a nice 90 degree, then I can put a nice fill weld in there and it can look a bit nicer. But having to bring it down further so that you penetrate all the way through this means it's a little bit thicker, a little bit of a deeper weld. You're stitching deeper across it, but I have penetrated all the way through on all 4 of them. So that, as ugly as sin as that is, it is penetrated and it is safe. And most importantly of all, it didn't get too hot because I did it bit by bit and cooled it down, so it won't have warped either, which, to be honest, is the most important thing. Right, after all that welding and a little bit of grinding, the entire swinging arm has warmed itself all the way through, and the jig, just conducted heat. So I don't want to take the clamps off yet, just in case it warps. It probably won't, but you can't be too sure. So I'm going to leave them where they are, leave it clamped down for another full hour until it's absolutely stone cold. Then we'll take the clamps off, spin it over, and I can put the other plate on the other side. Right, there we go. I'm going to speed things up a bit now. Let's tack it into place, take the middle clamps off and weld it up. Right, an hour this has sat here since I've completely finished everything, and it is stone cold. So let's just carefully take the clamps off. Job done. Right, there we are. Now, that is 1/4 of an inch thick. It's 3mm steel on top of 3mm steel, seam welded all the way around underneath. There are no open edges whatsoever. So 1/4 of an inch thick box section, that would be the same as the truck chassis underneath the load bed. That is about the same, 1/4 inch thick steel box section. So honestly, that is way strong enough to brace this and stop it from flexing under load with a monoshock. Now there's still a bit to do. What I would like to do is brace underneath here to give it that little bit extra strength. Whether it needs it or not, I just would like to do that. And it doesn't seem difficult. It just needs a couple of strips of box section in there, curving up and down to just give this that extra little bit of twist strength so that this thing, this swinging arm, is absolutely rock solid rigid under load with its monoshock in the future. So that'll be in the next video. I'll do some research, work out exactly the best way and the best shape to make any bracing so that it's the most effective that it can be, and draw out some plans, draw out some templates, get myself prepared for it, so in the next one we could just crack on and make that the final work on this before we weld the perch on. And the perch takes the form of 2 little tabs that weld side by side with a hole in. You then put the short link mechanism in and a bolt through, and it swivels on its bearings. So obviously that's where all the pounding and all the impact and load is going to be. So I'll be putting an extra plate, a 3rd plate, making it 9mm thick right across there to give that all the help it can be, so that that spar in the center is the perfect load bearing area for all of the weight of that massive bike. So that's it for today. There's just one more thing to bring you, and that is a wonderful golden nugget of wisdom from my friend who is a coded welder and fabricator. He said it to me so that I understand what to take care of, the most important thing to look for when I'm doing my welding and fabricating. And that was to stop watching those little reel videos on your phone of exhibition welding, where you see people with a piece of set-up fabrication and they put a perfect bead along it with a MIG welder, they drop the arc, the light comes up, and the weld is so perfect it looks like a zip. This is the world of AI, and a fair few of those videos are probably fake. It's highly unlikely that anyone can get welds that perfect every time, even professional welders. So if you're doing it yourself as an amateur, you're hardly ever going to get it that good. He said, what you should be looking for is penetration. Make sure when you lay a bead down, it doesn't matter if it's a bit scruffy, you need that heat stain all the way around the weld. So it shows that the two pieces of metal have truly liquefied and melted into one. That is a properly penetrated weld. It will be strong, durable, and it will last a lifetime. So don't worry about what they look like. Unless it's an exhibition weld and it's going on the outside of your frame and everyone's going to see it, once it's underneath in your chassis, it really doesn't matter. Penetration is the only thing that's important. You can grind it back, make it look tidy, and you can powder coat over the top of it. That's fine. But if it's not a sound weld in the first place, it will fracture and break, and that could be catastrophic on the road. So that's the message from a professional coded welder. Don't worry if your welds are not pretty. That will come with time if you really care enough about it. But make sure that they're sound, that they're durable and penetrated properly, and then at least your work will be safe. And that's got to be the most important thing, over and above how pretty they look. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Take it easy, ride safe, and we'll see you next time.